welcome. This is the Empire Behind Closed Doors podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Tracy.
I'm Chester.
And yeah, we're just going to go with it. So, what's today's objective?
Today's objective is we're going to attempt to normalize the struggles behind success.
We're going to attempt. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So, here we go. We're just going to dive right in.
All right. Talking about the emotional and physical cost of building an empire.
Emotional and physical plot. Well, yeah, if you're trying to build anything, it's definitely going to require both. Building an empire is definitely not for the faint of heart, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to just start with physical and then
Yeah.
move on to emotional?
Yep,
We can
definitely.
spiral into that one. So
Okay.
physical, I mean, honestly, if you don't have the discipline to take care of your physical state, you can't get past that. I mean, you have to build the foundation from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely think that starting from your physical strength makes a firm foundation.
And what does that consist of, though?
I mean, we're not even talking about just regularly exercising and staying fit. We're also thinking, nutrition, can't be eating anything and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Got to have some kind of discipline. So, I mean, whatever that means to each individual, you know, I'm sure everybody would know themselves best as far as like moderation, what their limits are,
Yeah.
what their boundaries are. But always, consult with your with your doctor before you try anything new.
Gotta get that consultation.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the safest thing. But honestly, if you can't get your body right, how can you expect to build new habits,
Mm-hmm.
mentally, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Can you just give us an example of what you do?
an example of what I do.
Yeah.
I mean, the easiest thing is just making sure that moving my body is the first thing I do in the day.
Mm.
Right? So like, and at this point we've been doing this for so long that
It's like second
it's
nature.
kind of just a reflex. Like as
Mm-hmm.
soon as we get out of bed, the first thing we do is we go to the gym,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be together or we tag or we
Alternate.
right?
Yeah.
But we both have this routine where that is the first thing we do. And and it also obviously helps with getting blood flowing and getting oxygen, fresh oxygen into your body because you've been sleeping for however many hours.
Mm-hmm.
So getting all that still air out of your body and into your brain before you make heavy decisions for the day.
Yeah.
And I know that there's going to be pushback on this because a lot of people do say that they're not morning people. But if the first thing you do, whatever time that is, for now, if the first thing you do is to do something physical, physically demanding, that'll definitely be worth it, to get you that stamina to get through the day. Yeah. And you?
I mean, like you said, we both do the same thing every morning. We've probably been doing it for, I don't know, however long now, for like over a year. Oh, for myself at least.
Mm-hmm.
I've been getting in that routine of, first thing in the morning, waking up, going to the gym. You said working out, whether I do it for whatever reason, like that is the first thing that I do. And it definitely helps with my decision making, my mood. It pretty much helps with everything.
Right.
Like whatever you're going through in life, like it definitely helps going to the gym in the morning and just getting that out of the way.
Yeah.
And you talk about blood flow and physical movement, like that just alleviates everything that happens in life, and it just kind of pushes you to do more, and you just have more time to do more things.
Yeah. And honestly, okay, so if you're working out, do you feel like, because there's like two ways you can look at it. Do you feel like when you said the word alleviate, it made me wonder, like, okay, are you working out because like you want to build that strength to carry the burden, or do you really think it is alleviating the burden? Like, do you think it's making it easier to confront whatever obstacles or challenges you're facing?
That's a tough question. I mean, I feel like it probably does both.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people go to the gym. They go to the gym to relieve that stress.
Yeah. I remember when you started going like early in the morning, and the first time I ran into you, I know we used to always joke. You asked me like why I kept going, and I used to say I did it for mental stability, but that was real. I used to joke about it all the time whenever people would be like, "Why do you go so early?" But it's really for mental stability. Like, especially being a mother of two, you just it's nice to be able to put yourself first thing in the morning. Yeah, like the when you're on a plane and they do the instructions about putting on your
yours first,
your oxygen mask first before you
gotta
help
take
others.
care of yourself.
Yeah,
because then you won't be able to help take care of other people.
Exactly.
Or help
you're
other
kind of
people.
useless if you don't have oxygen in your brain.
Seriously.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I think it helps both ways in terms of relieving the stress or even easing the burden of building an empire or whatever it may be that you're doing in life. But I think it does both. And being able to go to the gym and just not thinking about anything else besides yourself and just putting yourself first, making yourself better, whether it's physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever it may be. Like, I think it helps. And I mean, that's why I've probably been doing it for so long, because it has helped me.
Yeah. And we haven't even gone to the emotional side. This is strictly just focusing on the physical benefits. The physical demand of building an empire is definitely a requirement.
I mean, now that you mention emotional,
oh jeez,
for me, like, I don't know. I guess the emotional part of it, I guess for me, it's like, I guess discipline's a part of it, but also like part of it too is like it's all mindset, right?
Right.
Like dialing in down and making sure whatever you're doing, everything's clear, your purpose, your whys. I don't know.
Right. I guess keeping that focus, having the
exactly.
mental strength to stay in that focus, stay in that zone. It definitely takes some mental strength for sure. Do you think the experience you've had, like serving in the military and all the other things you've gone through in life, do you feel like you've developed that mental endurance, that mental strength from that? Like, do you think you kind of were forged into that kind of training?
Yeah, I think a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I'd be lying if I say a little bit, but I think majority of it, yeah. Like, just literally forced into it, because I mean, there's no other way you could do it. You have to. There's no way you can get out of it.
I mean, imagine like being in the military and then you're given that mental space to think twice. I guess that's a problem.
Yeah, you have to know what you want to do.
Definitely have to have that training to.
You can't make any. I don't know how to explain it, but you have to make quick decisions, but it also has to be the right decision.
Right.
It has to be split second, right? So second guessing yourself is definitely not one thing that you should be doing. So
Yeah, so having that mental stability, mental strength, emotional maturity, all that kind of definitely is required when you're trying to build anything.
Yeah.
And I was going to go into communication under pressure when you were saying that about nothing a choice, but I just realized that's a point we're going to be discussing later, so let me pause on that. But emotional,
for you,
the emotional cost,
yeah.
yeah, because especially doing something totally new and nothing you would ever have expected. I mean, for me personally, I never really had any direction of what I wanted to do growing up.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've mentioned it to you several times. Like, the only thing I knew for sure that I wanted for my life was to have kids. That's it. I didn't even think about like getting married or, I mean, it was kind of a given that yes, you have a partner and to have the kids, but dang, like that's all I knew. Beyond that, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Like, I entertained the idea of like stenography or becoming a teacher and stuff like that, but none of that really drove me into actually taking action.
Yeah.
But now diving into this and aspiring to become a coach, like I didn't see that coming. And so obviously the emotional cost is like, getting over that imposter syndrome and obviously getting past the emotions of being exhausted and doing all the studying and to get the certification, trying to keep that in check, and again, it goes back to the physical discipline. I mean, it also helps in building that discipline emotionally. You have that emotional intelligence to be able to put yourself in check, when you get overwhelmed and everything. So, and then for, being in a relationship, being to separate like the emotional stress from business and the emotional stress of, being in a relationship, but you definitely have to have that open communication to voice out. I mean, that's the part of emotional intelligence, being able to communicate that. But yeah, it takes a toll on somebody.
I feel like you've been handling it pretty good though.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
I feel like you've had the headspace to do a lot of things lately, and you've been pushing through. I mean, you've been doing a lot, you know.
And it's a lot of new stuff all at the same time, and that goes for you too. Like, not only are you still working and providing for everybody, like you're still pushing through new territory, like uncomfortable new territory with social media and learning, doing your certifications as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, emotional. There's definitely a cost to that. Sure. Yeah, and then being able to let go of that load before you end your day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Still a work in progress.
Absolutely, but we practice it all the time. But we know that prayer is ultimately our go-to when it comes to like getting that relief when it becomes too much.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but if anybody thinks that starting a business or starting anything new like doesn't require like an emotional deposit, yeah, it does.
It does.
It does.
Physically and emotionally.
For sure.
Definitely, there's something to it. It's not like what Tracy said earlier. It's not for the faint. It's not easy. It's definitely struggles that you have to go through, but over time and at the end of it, it'll be worth it.
Yeah. And
You
also,
just,
making sure you're working with somebody that's in alignment with that.
it's crazy. I was about to just say that. It's like,
Oh, sorry.
no, you're good. I was just leading to that, like, power couples, right?
Yeah.
Like, you could literally do anything if somebody you have supports you and is aligned with your goals or your dreams or whatever we're doing. Like, if everybody's in the same boat, like, there's nothing that you can't do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you definitely have to have that support because it's demanding for sure. And before I overstep, let's talk about the next question because I was about to go into
No, you're good. So the next thing we're going to talk about is, you talked about it earlier, communication under pressure, disagreements, burnouts, right? In terms of separating business and personal life or relationship,
Right.
like,
How do you overcome it?
how do you overcome, like, say, there's a lot that goes into building an empire, like starting a business. Like, starting a business is not easy, but in life you still have to, there's still going to be disagreements. There's things that you're not going to be aligned with.
Yeah.
So what happens when we do have disagreements? Like, how do you handle our disagreements?
I mean, for me personally, this is something I'm still learning to get better at, but typically what I would do is um I'd shut down. Like I would just stop talking. Not that I'm trying to hurt you or anybody like in the silence. Well, kind of sometimes, but for the most part, it's more me protecting myself from saying something that I'll regret later. Yeah. So, coming back to that emotional intelligence, if you want to overcome disagreements, you really got to learn how to vocalize the stressors. You got to learn to vocalize the emotions that you're feeling in that moment, because otherwise, like, nobody's gonna help you if you don't know how to communicate. And that goes for anything.
Yeah.
So confronting the disagreements as soon as they're coming at you, like, that's probably the best way to do it, especially if you got so many things happening all at once. You got so many things that you still have to get done in a day. Like, just being stuck in your feelings is not going to help you be productive.
Oh no, for sure.
So just confronting it and just verbalizing it, even if it means like just randomly shouting like, I'm mad.
Just be honest about it.
Just starting the conversation, like, that's a step forward in the right direction. You suppressing it and staying silent, that's only silently tearing down the empire you've been building. You know?
I mean, I think you hit it right in the nail, like communication wise. I think communication is always key in everything that we do.
Absolutely.
But, you know, you saying verbalizing it or just saying exactly how you feel. I know you said you've been working on it, and, you know, everything's always a work in progress. We could always do better. But I think just, you know, if anything happens, like any disagreements that we have, like, yeah, you just have to say exactly what you're feeling at that point. That way, I mean, whether it's you know, saying, you know, whether I'm saying what I need to verbalize or you need to say what you need to verbalize, like that way we both know exactly what to do from there.
Right.
Because if we both are in silence and we're not saying anything, we're not talking to each other, we're not communicating, like how are we going to move forward?
Exactly.
Like one of the things that I've always wanted for our relationship is, like, you know, the number one rule, you know, that I always want in our relationship is to, you know, before going to bed, like, I don't ever want us to be mad at each other.
Right.
Like, I don't want to go to bed angry at each other. So, like, whether we fix it or not, we just have to be able to tell each other what's going on.
Right.
Like, we don't have to take care of it, you know, before we go to bed, but we also have to know exactly what's going on before we go to bed. Like I said, communication.
Yeah.
Like, because I mean, it could be I don't have the headspace, you don't have the headspace. Like, you know what I mean? We're both tired at the end of the day. You know, we've been working on ourselves, we've been building the empire. Like, at the end of the day, you know, we might not have the capacity to take care of that at that point in time. But just being able to communicate that, you know, having that disagreement, whatever it is, like, yeah, we just have to be honest about it and just talk about it.
Right.
So
at least bringing awareness that there
you go.
There is a problem. You know, like you said, you might not be able to solve it like as soon as or as you're getting ready for bed, but at least making awareness. You know, that also helps, like, kind of relieve that stress of like, oh, I'm upset, I'm feeling this way, and I can't believe he's not picking up on it today.
Yeah,
that's so toxic.
That is. And I mean, that's one thing of bringing it's good that you use that word awareness, because, you know, bringing that up before we go to bed, because, you know, we always pray before we go to bed, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, like, you know, when we pray, we ask, like, you know, I guess we just ask for guidance on how to take care of that situation.
Right.
Or, I don't know, ask for anything, ask for advice, or, you know, pray about it. And, you know, for all we know, like, once we do that, everything will be taken care of.
Yeah. Find a solution, something will be revealed.
Exactly.
For sure. But I mean, that leading into burnout, I mean, that goes again with being honest with yourself and speaking on it. If you're feeling like you're getting burned out, like, that shouldn't be taken lightly.
Yeah.
Because again, how does that help move anybody forward? If you're just trying to, like, push through, and you're ignoring, like, all the signals that are happening.
Yeah.
That are saying you're being burned out. Because you know what, like, I don't know what happened, but that weekend that we were away from home and we were throwing off our schedules, I don't know if, like, that was our body having, like, some kind of reaction to relaxing. But I was like, I think we might have been ignoring a lot of signals, because our body's, like, shut down.
Yeah.
What we thought was relaxing, we were actually, like, breaking down.
Yeah. It was a terrible feeling, for sure.
Yeah, and then it ended up knocking us out for, like, 2 days.
Yeah.
It was like 2 days lost almost.
Yeah.
Like, neither one of us could focus. You know, like, yeah, it was a huge setback. So it's like, okay, lesson learned. We should really listen to the signals that our bodies are giving us so that we can not do that again. Burnout is a real thing and it should never be taken lightly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think for the both of us, like you said, just being honest with yourself. But in a relationship, it's, you know, as much as we would like it to be, we would want it to be 50-50. But
Literally had that in my head as you said it.
but it's always not the case, you know.
Right.
There's always days where, you know, I might have more things on my plate than you do, or vice versa.
Right.
You know, but being able to be honest with ourselves and communicating with each other and exactly where we are in the day or how we feel, you know, that's going to tell us a lot.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, if you're feeling burnt out and you can't go no more and I have to carry the load, or if I'm feeling burnt out and I can't do anything at all and you have to carry the load the rest of the day, like, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's not going to happen if we're not honest with ourselves.
Right.
We're not It's not going to happen if we actually admit to each other that we're burnt out.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, you know, that's the best part about communication, is once we communicate that to each other, we're going to be able to let the other know, like, hey, you need to step up, or, you know, I need help.
Yeah.
Like, help me out here.
Yeah.
And like, there's so many examples that, you know, it's already happened that way.
Yeah.
Where I'm not feeling well, you're not feeling well, and one of us steps up.
Yeah.
And we get things done. Like, you know, you talked about this past weekend, or I don't know how many weekends ago it was, but when we got thrown off our game, like, you know, and then 2 days of not doing things, like, man, we already don't have enough time in a day to do things now.
Right.
Losing 2 days, that's like losing a week of time.
It felt like it for sure.
Yeah.
Because getting back into it, we're like, I don't even know where I'm supposed
Yeah.
to start.
It's a major setback. It really is.
It really was, yeah.
But
kind of freaking annoying.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like, you know, like just revving up that engine again. It's like it takes more energy just to get started, you know?
Yeah.
So that. Okay.
All right. This one's going to be a little difficult. I mean, I don't know. It's definitely a topic of discussion. The difference between support and sacrifice.
Support and sacrifice, they're one and the same, but you know, the slightest difference is the emotional feeling you have to it. Right? So just going back to like supporting you, so we can look at this same scenario but from different perspectives. So me supporting you means like sometimes I may have to stop in the middle of, like, if I'm studying and you call out for help, um, I will stop what I'm doing so that I can go help you. I'm supporting you, right?
Yeah.
But if I had that mentality of like, okay, now I got to sacrifice my time so I can go help you achieve your goal.
Yeah, I see where you're going with this.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, that perspective, that mindset,
it's all about
different.
perspective.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And that's a pretty great example.
You impressed?
Yeah.
I just came up with that.
That was pretty impressive. You literally, like, we've been going through this for a good 10 minutes, and you hit it like right on the spot.
Yeah.
Like, seriously. Like, that's two different things. No, sorry, let me rewind that back. That's the same exact example, but the only difference is the mindset, the perspective of it.
Yeah.
And you know, you talking about supporting instead of sacrificing. Yeah, you hit it.
Right. And then as a couple, it's like, okay, let's do one together as a couple, like supporting each other to start up a business means um, we're both in alignment with that goal.
Yeah.
We're both in agreement. We agree that this is what we want. You know, to support that, we know that there's going to be sacrifices made, but we're in agreement with it. You know what I'm saying? Like I said earlier to the previous examples, like, you know, sacrificing a extravagant vacation.
Yeah.
But we're supporting our goal. But we realize we're having to put things
Put that
off
aside, yeah.
for the sake of that goal,
Yeah.
right? So sacrifices are needed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but we also got to keep our mind in check. That when we start going into that negative space where we feel like we're constantly having to sacrifice for the other, I think we need to have a better discussion about
Yeah.
what our goals
You gotta
are.
talk about it.
And
Pretty much have clear cut goals.
Yeah,
And again, talking about it, it's communication.
exactly.
Like you said, I'm always gonna harp on communication because I feel like communication is probably the number one thing that we have to have in terms of building an empire, you know, starting a business, in our relationship as a power couple. I think everything is just going to tie down to communication.
And this is obviously all learned from experience. So,
Yes.
you know, if there's people out there that know us longer than this, but like they're going to say things, you know, or
Yeah.
and they're going to say, like, oh, wish you knew that, like, just, you know, a year ago.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. So these are opportunities where we definitely have learned from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it really, I mean, everything that we're discussing, normalizing the hustle and the struggles of building an empire, like, it all deals with communication.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, let's pass
All right,
on that one.
let's go.
What's next?
Last one. I think you harped on it a little bit.
Dang, am I really harping on stuff?
No, I mean.
All right. So what is our last point here?
Last point are tools and rhythms we use to stay aligned in private.
Oh, that comes with, I mean, rhythm, routine. I feel like they're one and the same.
Yeah.
But like we mentioned earlier, starting our day with something physical that doesn't require your most powerful mental time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like starting up your body to get up and get moving, get, like we said earlier, getting that fresh oxygen into your brain, blood flowing, so that once you're like officially up and running, you're ready to hit those like harder tasks, the tasks that require most of your energy and your mental strength.
Yeah.
Yeah. So having that rhythm, that routine, that pattern is especially necessary when you're coming to like building an empire, starting a business, really anything, honestly.
Yeah. I feel like we've been doing a pretty good job of how we've been doing things. Like I think we talked about it earlier. You know, you've been bringing it up, but the whole miracle morning, you know, gymming when we first wake up.
Thanks, Hal Elrod. Appreciate
you. Yeah, thank you. But you know, doing that and just starting the day like that, like I don't think anything can beat that.
Seriously.
You really have. Well, you're really ahead of everything once you start that. Once you start your day with that.
Absolutely.
Like, you know what I mean? You are really just kind of jumping the gun when you're doing miracle morning first thing in the morning.
That reminds me of the what was that one? It's like it's a graphic. Okay, it's like a still picture, but it has a caption you see on Instagram all the time. But it's the scene of the Volturi from Twilight. And they're like,
looking down. Yeah.
It's like you watching everyone get out of bed after you just finished your
workout.
early morning session at the gym.
Yeah.
I love referencing that because it's true. Like you feel like you kind of have that head start
from everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, here we live in Vegas, so like, you know, say it's like we work out at 4 a.m. Like people in the East Coast are already up, like they've already started their day. So honestly, you know, we're at the same level, but in terms of starting the day, but you know, like you're right, like you know, getting up early, gymming, doing miracle morning, we're literally ahead of everybody, starting our day the right way.
Right.
And getting our headspace, our mindset, you know, physically, mentally, spiritually, like we're literally on the right track once we start that first thing in the morning.
Honestly, and it kind of feels like you already have like more time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
right? It
Yeah.
feels like all of a sudden you just have enough time
Yeah.
when you have those routines built.
Mm-hmm.
And also starting from the night before, right?
Yeah. Planning.
Having a plan so that way you're not wasting time thinking, okay, what am I doing now?
Yeah.
What's next? When's my next appointment? Like all that time wasted,
Yeah.
just trying to map out your next step. When you have everything already mapped out, you can accomplish way much more. For sure. Maximizing your productivity. Right? 24 hours doesn't feel like 24 hours. It feels like, a very successful day.
Yeah. I think you do a pretty good job in helping us being organized in everything that we do. Like you talk about planning, like planning the night before,
Right.
Planning the next day. Like it's really it makes things so much easier when you have everything laid out. You have the blueprint of exactly what you're gonna do.
Exactly.
Like what time you're gonna do it. You know how much time you're allotted for that certain thing that you're gonna do, and you pretty much just check everything off.
Right.
And I feel like it makes everything easier because it makes everything run smoother. Like, and if there's things that we need to do, like we add to it. But having that organization that you do in terms of planning, like, man, that's another tool that's been helping us a lot to be more successful in building an empire.
Yeah.
Because, man, without that, it's like we're kind of running their heads chopped off.
Seriously.
like
And then at the end of the day, you're exhausted, but for no reason,
Yeah.
with nothing to show for it.
Exactly. We didn't do anything.
We didn't accomplish nothing.
Yeah.
So I hate days like those.
Yeah.
And even on days when we say we're gonna relax, I'm like, what? I hate those days.
Yeah.
Like when they say like there are no days off, there's a reason
No
they
days
say that. There's a reason they say that because it's like it just makes things harder. I mean, I understand like breaks are necessary, but like taking an entire day,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I might feel different about this a year from now, but
I think our minds are wired differently.
I
Like
think
for
at
us,
least for right now.
yeah. I think for us, like we always gotta be on the move. We always gotta be doing something. If we're not, then we're lazy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say it, but
And then
that's the hard truth.
That's when time flies.
Yeah.
It's like, dang, I just ran out of time. Like, and I accomplished nothing today.
Yeah.
And this goes for anybody, honestly, because it doesn't have to just pertain to anybody starting up a business. It could pertain, like, this is relevant even to, like, students, stay-at-home moms, like, just getting yourself right before you have to tackle the day. Like, you'll be surprised on how much you can get done in a day.
Yeah.
When you start it right.
Yeah. Proper planning.
Right?
Yeah.
It's amazing the things you can accomplish.
There
Nice.
you go. What are you grateful for?
Oh shoot.
Yeah, putting you on the spot.
All right. Well. Oh no, there's blank.
And there it goes.
No, but for real, on a serious note, I am grateful for opportunities like this to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Like diving into social media, putting yourself out there. That is definitely not a space that I'm comfortable in.
Yeah.
But doing things like this, it feels like I'm not doing this for
Yeah.
any reason other than fulfilling a purpose of being able to be of some help to someone else that could be going through what
The
we're
same
going
thing.
through,
Yeah.
because it's not a good feeling like you're going through it alone.
Yeah.
So pushing yourself out of your comfort zone for the betterment of like using that to help others, like I'm for it. May look like a total ass right now, but if anybody out there can gain some insight from anything we had to talk about, that's a win for me, I guess.
Oh yeah. I feel like there's people out there. Definitely is.
There's got to be, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
There is.
I mean,
I know
nothing
there
new
is.
is under. What is it saying? Nothing under the sun is new.
Mm.
It's all been experienced. It's all been felt. But I guess we just wanted to be able to serve the community, serve our world, and letting them know like all you gotta do is just try.
Yeah.
No
Start.
harm in trying.
Just gotta start.
Yeah, just go for it, man.
Yep.
Otherwise, like, what's the point?
Yep.
So yeah,
Well,
thanks for making me do this.
you're welcome. Well, on that note, I think we're at the end of it. Well, we appreciate everybody who hopefully watched the whole episode. We'll drop weekly episodes every Saturday.
Yep.
You know, we'll give you guys reminders every Friday to watch our show. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. There's gonna be a lot of topics.
Yep.
Like I said, this is real conversations. You know, there's not gonna be edits. Like everything that we talked about, you know, we've gone through, we've experienced it. I mean, it's gonna be tough for us to talk about certain things, but we're not gonna hold back.
Yeah. And we're ready for the criticisms because, you know, let's be honest, this is all new to us too. So
Yeah.
don't hold it against us that we're not experts.
Yeah.
I mean, look at our teaser. That's, yeah, let's just say it. That was cringe, but we did it, man.
Hey, we got to start somewhere. Well, if you like what you heard, you like what you saw, you know, you can find us on YouTube for now, you know, at the Empire Behind Closed Doors podcast. Like I said, every Saturday we'll be here dropping weekly episodes.
Yep.
But for now,
all right, bye.
all right.
All right,
See you next week.